Welcome back, guys. It's time for episode 3 of the Modeling for Games in Maya series. Last time I left you off, I told you to delete all of your hidden faces and fix all of your n-gons within your model. And now, guess what? This model is ready to go in the engine. Sure, it doesn't have any textures on it, but you can put this model in the engine and it will be perfectly optimized. You might be noticing it's getting really messy on the side here. Obviously you can just kind of create a new project if you want for each model. I like to make all of my models in one project, or at least a lot of them. That way I can make sure everything is to scale with each other, especially if they're related. Like if I'm gonna have a chair and then I'm gonna have a table, I want to model those in the same file just to make sure the chairs match up with the table size perfectly. So how do we clean this up on our side here? Well, let's just go ahead, select the entire model. We can go to mesh, hit combine, and that is going to make this all one big model. So now it all kind of acts as one object since this is done. And if you ever need to access the individual pieces again, you can just go to mesh and then separate, and then it lets you interact with them. And then move it over to the side here. And then we're gonna select all of these objects from the chair and hit Control G to make a group. And we're just gonna name this group chair. And now we know everything underneath this group are pieces for the chair. Boom, easy peasy. So now that you guys are starting to get a hang of things, I'm gonna go ahead and start working a bit faster and just introducing some new concepts. I just want you to follow along. I've walked you in depth through this chair, through making this whole thing. So now let's try and speed create some models and reinforce those ideas. So pause the video if you need to take a moment and just regroup and catch up, but follow along the best you can. So we're gonna go ahead and try and make a book. So we'll go ahead and take a square here. Book is gonna be super quick. We can just make this sort of book shape here. Then I'm gonna grab these two edges here and bevel them to get the sort of spine of the book. Add some segments in, and then now I'm actually already going to talk about a new tool that I want to use, and that is called extrusion. It is a super nice tool, and I'll just go ahead and pull up a cube to show you what extrusion does. I love using cubes. Actually, I'm gonna do a sphere. I changed my mind. What extrusion does is it lets you extrude. Usually it's used with face mode, but you can use it technically with any mode. And how you're gonna do it is you're gonna select some faces, or you're gonna select an object and then hit Control E, and it is going to let you extrude new faces out from that point. You can do this as much as you want. And this is gonna be how you kind of create some interesting shapes and new geometry. So yeah, I mean, look at that thing right there. That's beautiful. But in this case, I'm going to use extrusion to actually go kind of into my object, because extrusions can go both ways. So I'm going to select these three faces here, hit Control E to extrude, and then I'm going to go in these settings into the offset and increase it a little bit. And as you can see, we're kind of getting somewhere here. And now that I've kind of chosen the thickness of the book here, I'm going to go ahead and click out of it. So now I have these faces established here, and I can click them again, select them, hit Control E. Once again, Control E is the hotkey for extrusions. We don't go into menus here, we use hotkeys. So hit Control E, and then we can go into the local translate Z and give that a negative value. And now just like that, guys, we basically are done with this book already. So you can play around with that, but extrusion is an amazing and powerful tool, and you're gonna find a lot of uses for it. So now that we have this book model done, we need to check for hidden faces. I'm not seeing any of those, but now we also need to check for n-gons. And I know that this mesh has two n-gons, and we can see I just did the n-gon selection, and yeah, we have two on the side. So if you did your homework, you should be a pro at getting rid of these things. We're just gonna take our cut tool and go to these vertices, make those cuts, get these ready for the engine. Ooh, that's kind of a weird one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, I'm stupid. That's a 4 side. Okay, so we got these n-gons cleaned up, and then we'll do the same over here. Grab these points and just connect them together, and just like that, n-gons gone. This book is ready. This book is done, just like that. This is called speed populating. It's when you're making models super fast, getting them to a high enough level of detail without putting your whole life force into it. So now that I have one book modeled, why can't we make a bunch of different books? I mean, you're never gonna have one of the exact same identical book. And this is going to get into another sort of area of speed modeling where you're taking one thing and you're making a bunch of them. So we're just gonna rotate these. We'll make them upright, move that pivot to the bottom so we can snap it to the grid. So let's try and iterate off of this singular book. So we can have our singular book model, and we'll set that to the side. You can go by yourself. But now what if we want to have a little cluster? Let's say we want to have like 2 books here. Then we want one that's kind of like on its side a little bit. This could be very useful for populating a bookshelf. And then one that's like completely fallen over or something. J, move that pivot down, bring it back up, boop, just like that. Obviously, this could look better if it's not the exact same book. So we'll go ahead and make some variation. We can just like change the thickness around a bit. Maybe offset them a tiny bit. You should never have things like perfectly together. We can also like rotate that a bit and have it kind of hit on that corner there. And yeah, just like that, we kind of have this little stack of books, just like, and it's just so easy to like take one object and make a bunch of things out of it. We can make this one real thin. We can make it humongous. We can really do whatever we want. And if you want a more flat back to your book, you can grab all these vertices, shrink them inwards towards each other, pull it out. Now it's a bit more flat on the back. That's a great start. I mean, that's a great little cluster of books. We can go ahead, select all those, combine. Now it's one object. Literally took like a minute off of this one book that took us like another minute. Now we're gonna go ahead and go back to our like table and share reference here, and we're gonna go ahead and try and make this table. So first off, we're gonna need some boards, and we can easily make those with our favorite object ever, cubes. I love working with cubes. Cubes are so amazing. We'll go ahead and try and make this a little board shaped. I don't exactly know how I want this to be scaled. Probably a bit longer. No, because there's the boards on the edge. Yeah, I'm gonna make these maybe like that, and then 4 boards across is gonna be like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's definitely more than enough. I might actually be too big. But then we'll just go ahead and do a little bit of a bevel here on our board. Just like that, smooth that out. And then we obviously want to raise it up because we got planks here. And now what if I told you, you do not have to manually copy and paste things every time you want to paste the same object over. Like if I wanted to do 100 of these, I can actually do that insanely easily. I'll actually do that just to show you. There's a nice tool in Maya called Duplicate Special, and it allows you to duplicate something a certain amount of times and transform or scale or rotate it each time. Now, the first thing I'm going to do in order to figure out how far I need to move this is I'm going to hit this snowflake at the top here, and that is going to set everything in your object back to 0, 0, 0 for translation and a scale of 1. So it just kind of resets all of that manipulating you've been doing in the object memory. I'm just going to go ahead and set the pivot to one of these edges here, and then Control D, vertex mode, slide it over, and that's about where we'll want our next board. So now we can see that that is exactly 53.532 over on the Z axis. So we can copy that number, then delete this board and go back to our board that's at 0, 0, 0, click Edit, Duplicate Special, it's underneath Duplicate, open the box, and then you are going to want to set geometry type to instance instead of copy, and then group under parent, and then set your different parameters. So right here, we're just going to go into the Z axis and say that each time we duplicate it, we want it to move over 53.532 units over. Number of copies, Literally, we can do 100. Once you click apply, we have 100 boards just like that. Obviously, we don't need this many. We need what? 4? Okay, we're gonna make 4. So I'll bring this back over. We need to make 3 copies, and there, we have our table. I'm just gonna bring over my chair to check scale of everything. It's a bit large. I think I'm actually gonna kind of redo this and scale it down a little bit so that these boards are a bit thinner. Then I'll freeze, and then I'll try, and then I'll copy and paste it over like I did a second ago. Grab that number, now it's like 38 something, and then duplicate this 6 times over, or not 6 times, 3 times. Boop. Boom, table. Just like that, we got a nice long table to scale with our chair. Probably need to move the table up a bit though. No room for the knees. And then I'm gonna make it a bit less long. And I'll just do that by selecting them all. No need to go through the whole duplicate special process again. But yeah, there's all of our table boards. Just trying to get the sizing right is the main thing. But now we have these boards on the edges, so we'll just go ahead and copy one of these and just manipulate it to our needs. No reason to like redo all the bevels and whatnot. So we'll make it a bit smaller and scale it around. This one's a bit more square, so we'll do something like that at the end. Then we'll copy, paste that over. Boom, table. But now we need to decorate our table with that little accent. So we're just gonna grab a cube, drag this out, make it about the size that we need. Place it about right here-ish on that like sort of like third of the table. We'll scale it out. Drag it down. There we go. I think it needs to go in a little bit, get that sizing right. And now I'm going to go ahead and select these 4 faces and click Control E to extrude. We're back to extrusions here, and we're going to work with the offset and increase that value to kind of get this edge that's happening on that metal piece. And then we'll go ahead, click Control E again to make another extrusion, and local translate Z, bring it down a bit. Bring it down to about right there. Yeah, that's pretty good. I might make this a bit wider. And we kind of have that little metal rim that they have going on in theirs. If we want to add the little rivets on it, take a cylinder, bring it over. We're just going to go ahead, good practice. We know that these faces are not going to be seen, so we'll delete those. Bring that vertex down, snap it, make it larger, make it shorter. Grab this vertex in the middle, give it a little bit of roundness. We don't need to make a ton of geometry for this. It's kind of a waste to spend all of our geometry on like one little piece. And we can just take that edge and bring it in as well. And we kind of have this rounded bit. Then we can take that and place it here. On this board, and I want to do like 1 per board. I think that makes the most sense to me. So I'm going to place it in the middle of this board, freeze transformations, create a duplicate, put it on the next board, see negative 39.546. I'll copy that value, click the first one again, edit, duplicate special, put in that new value, and duplicate those. And then we will just go ahead and copy this entire thing over to the other side. Look at that. That looks pretty good. I think this needs to move over a little bit. I'll go into our top view. Select everything. Yeah, I'm thinking this bit needs to move over a slight bit, and then we will be good to go. Okay. So now you might be wondering why this thing is green. And that probably didn't happen for you. This is just Maya being weird. For some reason, it can't recognize the material that's supposed to be on this rivet. If that ever happens to you, just go ahead, hold right click, go to assign existing material, and then click Lambert 1, or sorry, click standard surface 1, and then it'll change back to what everything else is. Now on this table, there's those 4 little pyramids, and we can see that we don't have this pyramid as an option up here, but there actually is a pyramid in Maya. You just have to go to create, polygon primitives, and then here you will see there's a whole new list of fun primitive shapes for you to work with. I will grab the pyramid, bring that up, bring that out. I'm gonna make it pretty flat for the most part. Scale it. And then I can get rid of this face just like we did on the rivets because we know it's gonna be against the table and not seen. Move the pivot down. Snap it to the table if we can. And yeah, I think that's on the table. Yep. And now let's move that over to wherever we want it. Make it a bit smaller. It's kind of humongous right now. Be kind of hard to eat on it, so you know, you want to think of practicality. So we got our 2 here. Duplicate them over. And we got 2 there. If we really want to, we can bevel this. These kind of need to be smoothed out a bit. They're pretty harsh. So I'm just gonna bevel to like 0.2 and just round them up, or actually 0.1. That rounds them enough. And then I will bevel this one to 0.1. Bevel this one, Control B to 0.1. And then bevel this last one, Control B to 0.1. Boom. Table's looking great. Okay, so now that we have our table looking pretty good here, the next step is going to be doing the legs, but I'm not quite ready to show you how we're gonna do those yet because it's a bit more advanced. I want you guys to process all the information we talked about. Recap for today, we talked about extrusions. We talked about duplicate special. We talked about freezing transformations in the context of duplicating specials. And we overall just tried to reinforce some of the past things I've taught you in order to make this table pretty stinking fast. What I want you to do is I want you to figure out some sort of a detail you could add into this table. That could be like some more rivets or something on the sides. That could be maybe like some sort of a little design that you put on the side of this square here on each side of the table. Do something there, or if you'd rather, try and make another furniture piece to go in your dungeon. Do one of those 2 things to reinforce these skills, reference back to the video if you need any help, and then click on this video right here where we're gonna learn about using curves and lofting in order to make some geometry. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.